Alright, we are diving straight back in today, and if you are new around here, hit that subscribe button, punch the like, and get comfortable because the industry is bleeding stories tonight and we are not skipping a single drop. Before I even breathe, I need you to know what is on the table, because in the next few minutes I'm walking you through a Cardi B meltdown that has the entire internet holding its breath. A Roc Nation move so ice-cold it might have just detonated Rihanna's entire label loyalty, a GloRilla catastrophe that has streaming numbers going backwards in real time, a Tasha K courtroom update where the judge basically told Cardi B, "Girl, sit down," and a random Ice Spice sighting with a man twice her age. At one of the whitest parties of the year. Buckle in, because Cardi B did not just wake up angry today. Cardi B declared war on 3 separate rappers in one breath. And if you thought the last album cycle was ugly, honey, this next one is engineered to burn the whole building down. Let me walk you through it slowly, because she did something last night that made even her own fan base go quiet for a second. Cardi B jumped on Spaces, and instead of doing the usual foot-stomping tantrum, Cardi B looked straight into the void and promised, not threatened, promised that the 3rd studio album is going to feature actual named bullets aimed at Nicki Minaj, at Akbar V, and at GloRilla. And she did not soften it. She did not hedge it. She said, and I'm paraphrasing, but the spirit is intact, that everybody kept begging her to get in the booth. So fine, she is getting in the booth, but she is doing it on her album, on her clock. And she is going to make sure every girl who has been feeding off her name for clout is going to end up funding her next check. That is the exact energy Cardi B brought to Spaces last night. She teased a preview. She teased a rollout. She teased a whole ecosystem of pettiness, and then she did what she always does. She started walking it back within the same breath, saying she wanted to release a song, but only when she was ready, only when the schedule allowed it, only when the mood struck her. Which is a very long-winded way of saying Cardi B has not actually written anything yet. Let that land for a second. Because here is the thing about the rapper and her booth threats. We have been hearing this exact speech for years. Every single time a female rapper breathes in her direction, she goes on live, she goes on Spaces, she goes on Twitter, and she swears the next drop is going to be the final blow. Then the next drop comes out, and there are no bullets, there is no blood, there is a mid-pop record with a feature nobody asked for, and she disappears until the next moment of manufactured urgency. But this time, the pileup is different. This time Cardi B is not just fighting Nicki Minaj. She is fighting Akbar V, who has been publicly shredding her online for months. She is fighting GloRilla, who, and this is where it gets spicy for the Nicki Minaj camp especially, actually took shots at the Bronx star on her own album. GloRilla, on the record, said she did not need a Birkin from her because her man buys her bags. GloRilla, on the record, recited a Nicki Minaj bar right in the middle of a song called Chrome Heart Diaper Bag, saying your ghostwriter needs another reader. That is not subtle. That is not accidental. That is GloRilla stepping into the ring and daring Cardi B to swing back. So even though the internet has been trying to sell you this narrative that GloRilla and Cardi B are secretly cool again, the tape says something else. The tape says GloRilla dissed her in 2 separate records, Chrome Heart Diaper Bag and Give Me That, and the Bronx rapper has not fired back on wax. Which is why I am telling you right now, whatever comes out of her mouth on the 3rd album, expect Partisan Fontaine's fingerprints all over it. Because Cardi B does not write like that. She writes like an angry ant in a group chat. She does not write bars with structural weight. She does not write pen game that survives replays. Partisan Fontaine writes the pen game, and everybody in the room knows it, and that is the exact reason GloRilla threw that ghostwriter bar in the first place. Nicki Minaj has been saying it for years. Nicki Minaj is not shy about it. Nicki Minaj has, on Nicki Minaj's own timeline, dropped receipts, tagged names, and forced the conversation into the open. And the Nicki Minaj barbs have never let the topic go quiet. Akbar V has been saying it for months. Now GloRilla is saying it too. Cardi B can go on Spaces and rage all she wants. She still has not produced a single verse in the past 3 years that critics have been able to attribute cleanly to her own hand. That is the elephant in the album cycle, and Cardi B is dragging it into the diss track era with her. And I want to be very careful about how I frame this next part, because I am not one of those commentators who pretends that a female rapper only exists in relation to another female rapper. I have said on this channel 1,000 times that the entire concept of pitting black women in hip-hop against each other is a marketing strategy invented in a boardroom, and it usually benefits nobody except the label accountants. But she did not walk into this pileup as a bystander. She walked into this pileup as the general contractor. She built this ecosystem. She is the one who made her career off of clapping back publicly at Nicki Minaj in 2018 at that Harper's Bazaar event, and she is the one who has been keeping that fire alive on Instagram Live every 12 to 18 months ever since. So when the culture watches Cardi B threaten another diss album, the culture does not see a woman defending her honor. The culture sees a marketing pattern that has been running on repeat for the better part of a decade. And the culture is tired. Now about Nicki Minaj, the Bronx star is holding a grudge that has been marinating since 2025, and I need y'all to remember the timeline. When Cardi B's second album dropped and the first week sales landed at around 200,000, technically 199.6, they gave her the courtesy roundup. Nicki Minaj went scorched earth on the numbers, mocking her publicly, questioning the accounting, questioning the promo spend, questioning everything except the weather. She never officially clapped back. She just quietly stored it. And now, months later, Cardi B is dressing that grudge up in a spandex outfit and calling it a diss track. And I want to remind y'all what Nicki Minaj actually said during that first week window, because the timeline matters. Nicki Minaj did a series of Pink Friday adjacent lives where she pulled up screenshots of Cardi B's marketing spend, receipts of promotional stunts, tour bundle sales figures, and she walked her fan base through what she considered to be inflated numbers on a mid-tier commercial pop project. It was ruthless. It was surgical. It was, in a lot of ways, one of the most cinematic drag sessions Nicki Minaj has ever delivered on arrival. And Cardi B, who normally responds to a comma out of place with a full 4-hour Instagram live, said absolutely nothing at the time. That silence was strategic. That silence was calculated. That silence is exactly the fuel she is now trying to burn in the third album cycle. Whether she actually surpasses the 228,000 debut she was aiming for last time is a completely separate question. Because, and let me put this bluntly, Cardi B has not made a hit record since Up. Not one. WAP was a moment, Up was a moment, and everything since has been mid-pop rap filler featuring artists chosen by marketing meetings, not by taste. So the idea that this third album is going to smash the ceiling on the strength of some warmed-over diss tracks is, at best, wishful thinking. At worst, it is delusion in an audio format. Drop your verdict in the comments. What do you honestly think Cardi B pulls first week on the third album? And does Nicki Minaj get pulled into a real back and forth, or does Nicki Minaj just ignore the whole rollout the way Nicki Minaj usually does when Nicki Minaj is winning the silent war? Because I want to know if I am reading this crowd right. Rolling us straight into the next lane, because there is another story bubbling that involves an equally messy piece of studio politics. India Arie has publicly called out Young Miami's song Spend Out, calling the record harmful to the black community. And now the producer of that record, Jay White, has decided the smart response is to tease a remix of Spend Out using India Arie's video footage. Let me repeat that. The producer of a song India Arie called Harmful has decided to remix that same song using India Arie's own video content as bait. Young Miami's team apparently signed off on this. Young Miami's team apparently thought this was a viral idea. Young Miami's team apparently forgot who India Arie actually is. That is not clever. That is not clapping back. That is walking into a courtroom holding a lit match and complaining about the sprinklers. India Arie does not tolerate that kind of energy. India Arie has a documented history of legal action against people who misappropriate her likeness. And Young Miami's team apparently missed the memo, because let me tell you what happens when you troll India Arie in 2026. India Arie owns the masters to her early catalog. India Arie has a functioning legal team on retainer that specializes in intellectual property. India Arie has spoken publicly about protecting her image, her likeness, and her spiritual brand from being used in contexts she has not authorized. So the second Jay White decided to tease that remix with India Arie's video content overlaid on top of Young Miami's audio, Jay White handed India Arie's lawyers a case file. Trolling India Arie is not the same as trolling a random label rapper. India Arie is an established, credentialed, publicly respected artist with the resources, the lawyers, and the receipts to make an example out of you. Now, let me be fair. India Arie has done this before. India Arie has publicly criticized Megan Thee Stallion. India Arie has publicly criticized Janelle Monáe. India Arie has this whole vibe of being the spiritual overseer of black women's presentation in music, and that is a lane she has occupied for over 2 decades. So you cannot pretend this is a shock. This is who India Arie is. She has opinions, she has boundaries, and she is going to put both of them into a public statement whenever she feels moved. Is Young Miami's Spend Out really the most damaging record in the industry right now? Probably not. There are far worse offenders sitting on the Billboard chart as we speak. But the reason people are reserving special contempt for Young Miami is not just about the music. Nobody is dumb enough to believe that. It is about the fact that Young Miami is still publicly connected to Diddy. Young Miami filed a character statement in support of Diddy. Young Miami sat across from Charlemagne the God and defended Diddy on camera after every single thing that has emerged in the trial cycle. And people have not forgotten. People do not forget when you stand next to that kind of allegation with a smile on your face. So when India Arie calls Young Miami out, there is a much bigger audience nodding along than there would be if the target were, say, Sexy Red or Lotto. Young Miami's diplomatic loyalty to Diddy has permanently colored the way the public reads every move she makes. And here is where I need you to understand the deeper mechanics, because Young Miami is walking into a trap she does not seem to see. India Arie is not a comparable public figure to Young Miami. India Arie has a Grammy shelf, a 2-decade discography, a legacy tour circuit, and a spiritually oriented fanbase that will show up for her the same way certain fanbases show up for Erykah Badu or Jill Scott. Those are lifer audiences. Those are audiences who defend their favorites to the death. So the second Young Miami's team decided to weaponize India Arie's visual content for a remix nobody asked for. They did not just start a beef with India Arie. They started a beef with the entire post-Erykah, neo-soul adjacent, protective of black female elders audience segment. And that audience does not shop at the same store Young Miami's core audience shops at. So the miscalculation here is not just legal. It is cultural. Young Miami cannot win a public opinion war against India Arie. Not now. Not while Diddy's name is still glued to Young Miami's biography. Not while every commentator with a platform is quietly counting the days until the next witness dropped statement gets released. This is a losing move dressed up as a viral moment, and Young Miami's team is going to regret it before the month is out. The next name on the docket is once again Cardi B, because the Tasha K situation just took another sharp turn, and it is exactly the kind of turn that tells you Cardi B is not as untouchable as her Instagram captions suggest. According to court documents circulated through Billboard, Cardi B has been awarded another $60,000 from Tasha K after Tasha K allegedly violated their existing settlement by discussing the rapper's love life on her platform. That $60,000 is on top of the $4 million Tasha K already owes from the original defamation ruling. The $60 must be paid in 2 installments, and if Tasha K misses a payment, the judgment balloons to $110,000. Immediately due, no extensions, no negotiations. That is the receipt. Now, here's where I lose patience with the Bronx native, because she is out here bragging on live streams about her millions, about her business empire, about her generational wealth. And then in the same breath, she is running to the courthouse to squeeze another $60,000 out of a black woman blogger. Do you understand how that reads to the audience? Do you understand how that plays in the culture? Tasha K did not talk about her children. Tasha K did not fabricate a criminal accusation. Tasha K talked about her love life, which, let me be very generous, is public property at this point. She has 2 baby fathers. She has 4 children. She is not married. She is not even formally divorced from Offset. That is not a smear. That is the Wikipedia page. Everybody who has a microphone and a platform has commented on that arrangement. Joe Budden has said harsher things about her while she was pregnant. Academics called her the least attractive baby mama in Offset's rotation on a public stream. Both of those men said what they said, and she stayed conspicuously silent. But the moment Tasha K, a black woman with a smaller platform and shallower pockets, opens her mouth, the rapper is in the courtroom faster than her legal team can print the paperwork. That is not a coincidence. That is a pattern. She, like Milagro Grams on the other side of the ledger, is being weaponized against black women bloggers specifically because they are the easiest target in the ecosystem. They do not have the fortress of network money. They do not have the corporate legal armor. They do not have the media protection that Joe Budden and DJ Academics operate under. So she pursues them, presses them, and drains them, and then goes on live and pretends it is about principle. It is not about principle. It is about picking targets. And the audience is starting to see through it. She is not above criticism. She is not intimidating anyone with real information. The Mirror already told her the truth. You can sue a blog for talking about your love life, but you cannot sue the internet into believing your relationship history is not, by any honest measure, chaotic. Sound off below and tell me if I'm reading this right, because I want to know where the culture actually stands on this one. But here is where the video pivots into the story that has actually broken the internet in half tonight, and I need you to hear it slow, because Tyla, yes, that Tyla, the South African superstar, the Water Girl, the sophomore album in 2 weeks, Tyla, has officially signed a global deal with Roc Nation. That is not a rumor. That is not a leak. That is a Times Square digital takeover for Tyla. That is a coordinated PR rollout for Tyla. That is the sophomore album A-Pop landing on July 24th with the full institutional muscle of Jay-Z's label behind it. Tyla just walked out of Epic Records and walked directly into the Roc Nation Cathedral, and the timing is not coincidental. The timing is deliberate. The timing is designed to tell you that Tyla is no longer a rising act. Tyla is being repositioned as an institution. And now let me tell you why the entire black female pop internet has caught fire in the last 12 hours. Because Roc Nation already has Rihanna. Roc Nation already has Ira Star. And now Roc Nation has Tyla. 3 of the biggest black female global pop-leaning acts on the planet, all under the same roof, all reporting to Jay-Z. That is not a coincidence. That is not diversified investing. That is monopoly behavior wearing a diversity hat, and the person paying the highest emotional price for it is Rihanna. Because let us be clear-eyed about what this means. Rihanna has not put out a studio album since Anti. Rihanna has not fed the label a single commercial project in nearly a decade. From a business standpoint, Rihanna is a dormant asset, a legendary catalog with no forward pipeline. And Jay-Z, being the ruthlessly efficient businessman that he is, has decided that if Rihanna will not deliver new music, he will simply sign the artist position to inherit her audience. Tyla is that artist. Tyla has been called a Rihanna copycat by online commentators for the better part of 2 years, and now Jay-Z has just handed Tyla the same label real estate that Rihanna used to dominate. And Rihanna is not going to be pleased about this. I do not care what statement gets released. I do not care what Instagram like they exchange to smooth it over publicly. Behind the scenes, Rihanna is furious. Because everybody in the industry knows Rihanna does not fool with Tyla. Everybody in the industry knows the vibe between those two camps is not warm. And now Jay-Z has signed Rihanna's most direct sonic competitor to the same label, days before Tyla's album drops, weeks after Jay-Z reportedly bought 50% of Rihanna's Fenty operation. Do the math. 1 betrayal, 2 betrayals, 3. The Fenty acquisition. The Tyla signing. And, looming underneath both, the slow bleeding of Rihanna's musical relevance, while Jay-Z quietly builds the infrastructure to replace her. This is not paranoia. This is a documented pattern. Jay-Z has done this before. Jay-Z did this to Rita Ora. Jay-Z signed Rita Ora as a Rihanna adjacent, milked the moment, and then dropped Rita Ora the second Rihanna became inconvenient. Now Jay-Z is running the same script with Tyla, except this time the target is not a former Rihanna understudy. This time the target is Rihanna herself. And here is the part that stings the most for the loyal Navy. Rihanna handed Jay-Z the gun. Rihanna spent a decade coasting on Fenty and letting the music catalog age out of relevance. Rihanna spent a decade refusing to feed the label a project. Rihanna spent a decade telling interviewers that R9 was coming and then never letting it arrive. And in the vacuum Rihanna created, Jay-Z did what Jay-Z always does. Jay-Z looked at the numbers, saw the aging asset, and moved to acquire the replacement. That is not sentimental. That is not friendship. That is capitalism in a fitted cap. Rihanna is now watching her longtime label boss stack her competitors on the same roster, while her own return remains theoretically imminent and practically invisible. And what makes it more painful is that Fenty's numbers are cooling. Fenty's revenue has been trending down 20 to 30% year over year, according to the reporting that has leaked out of the beauty industry pipelines. So Rihanna cannot even fall back purely on the empire she built with her own hands. The empire is contracting, the label is repositioning, and Rihanna is caught between 2 collapsing pillars. Now, do I think Jay-Z is going to fully end Rihanna's career? No. Rihanna's catalog is too big, her cultural equity is too high, and her stan army is too aggressive. But do I think Jay-Z has decided that Rihanna is no longer the flagship of his female pop division? Yes. And I think Rihanna knows it. And I think the next time Rihanna and Jay-Z share a photo, you are going to see it in her eyes. When the dust settles on this Tyla signing, the story is not going to be about Tyla's debut sales. The story is going to be about the day Jay-Z quietly told Rihanna that her seat at the head of the table was now available for reassignment. This is going to get loud. This is going to get louder. This is going to get so loud that both of them are going to have to sit through the same brunches, the same industry dinners, the same red carpets, pretending nothing has happened. And every one of you watching this is going to see the smiles crack in real time. Save this video. You will want the receipts. rolling us into the next name, because GloRilla, poor GloRilla, cannot catch a single break in this cycle. And I want to preface this section by saying that everything I am about to break down about GloRilla is being said with a level of empathy that I genuinely do not extend to Cardi B, because the two situations are not the same. GloRilla is not a manufactured product. GloRilla did not walk into the industry with a pre-existing PR machine. GloRilla clawed her way out of Memphis on the strength of a viral moment and a work ethic that a lot of her peers do not actually have. So when I criticize GloRilla in the next few paragraphs, I want you to hear the criticism through the lens of a commentator who wants better for the artist, not a commentator who is trying to bury the artist. Her album Glorious, which she pushed hard, which she promoted harder, and which she banked her entire year on, has now landed on Spotify's list of albums affected by the July 1st bot purge. And the number is not small. The number is not embarrassing. The number is 900,000 streams removed from the album's official tally. 900,000. And because Spotify runs a net calculation after the deletions, the album is now sitting at negative 925,000 streams. Negative. Not zero. Negative. Which means GloRilla is currently earning less than nothing on Spotify, in real time, on the album she just released. Now let me be honest with you about how I feel about GloRilla, because it is complicated. GloRilla is more talented than Cardi B on the pen. She is more talented than Megan Thee Stallion at delivery. Controversial take, I know, but I stand by it. She has an ear for cadence, she has a knack for hook writing, and she has a southern rap texture that connects with a very specific pocket of the culture. But GloRilla has been sabotaged primarily by two things. One, the packaging. She is being marketed as another one of the manufactured Atlanta-adjacent It Girl blueprints, and there are 10 of those already in rotation. Saweetie has that lane. Latto has that lane. Doja Cat has that lane. Cardi B has that lane. What makes GloRilla stand out? Nothing, if the label keeps positioning her as a template product. 2. GloRilla got too big-headed too fast. When Tomorrow 2 hit and FNF blew up, she started swinging above her weight class immediately. She threw shots at Nicki Minaj on Put It On Da Floor before she had a single Billboard #1 to her name. And Nicki Minaj and everybody watching Nicki Minaj remembered that. Then there is the personal life. Nobody in the culture forgot that GloRilla is publicly linked to 21 Savage as a co-parent, and the messiness around that arrangement has soured a real portion of GloRilla's potential female audience. Because the girls do not clap for the alleged side chick of a married man. The girls do not clap for the baby mama who leaked before the paperwork settled. And whether that framing is entirely fair to GloRilla or not is beside the point. The framing exists, and it is currently costing GloRilla streams she cannot afford to lose. So when I say I feel bad for GloRilla, I mean it. But when you ask me if I feel bad enough to stream Glorious out of solidarity, the answer is no. GloRilla needs to reset. GloRilla needs to rebrand. GloRilla needs a new label conversation, a new marketing team, and possibly a full year off the internet. Because right now, the algorithm is not just ignoring GloRilla. The algorithm is actively subtracting from her. Think about that for a second. Every stream that gets counted, then uncounted, then subtracted a second time from a running total, is a stream that GloRilla's label promoters cannot log into a report, cannot show to a booking agent, cannot use to justify a festival slot, and cannot leverage into radio spins. When Spotify runs a bot purge of that magnitude on an active release, they are not just cleaning the ledger. They are effectively rebuilding the artist's public commercial reputation from scratch, in the middle of the campaign, in front of the entire industry. That is not a data hygiene event. That is a public credibility event. And GloRilla's team has not delivered a single coherent public response to it yet, which tells me two things. 1, they were caught flat-footed and did not have a crisis playbook ready. 2, they know that any explanation they offer will end up making the numbers look worse than the silence does. Neither of those tells is good for the album cycle. Neither of those tells is good for GloRilla's next negotiation with the label. And neither of those tells is good for whoever inside her camp made the decisions that led to this outcome. If I were GloRilla right now, I would be quietly cleaning house and not saying a word about it publicly. But of course, that requires a level of strategic discipline that I am not sure her current camp actually possesses. And speaking of subtractions, let us close this out with a little dessert, because Ice Spice was reportedly caught up close and personal with actor Tobey Maguire at Michael Rubin's white party in the Hamptons over the weekend. And the internet has decisions to make. Now, is this real? Is this staged? Is this a PR spark plug designed to reinsert Ice Spice into a new cycle that has largely forgotten she exists this year? Because let me remind you where Ice Spice has been in the culture in the last 12 months. Ice Spice has not had a hit record since Munch. Her SpongeBob movie song barely charted. Ice Spice was so low on the radar this year that the biggest headline Ice Spice generated was that Stunna Girl or some other adjacent artist got on a Drake feature before her. That is where Ice Spice is right now. That is the Ice Spice temperature check for 2026. So a sudden sighting with a 49-year-old actor twice Ice Spice's age at one of the most photographed parties of the summer? Read the room. Ice Spice is not out here accidentally locking eyes with Peter Parker. Ice Spice is out here hunting for a headline, and if Ice Spice has to get photographed next to Tobey Maguire, who, for the record, has a well-documented pattern of dating women significantly younger than himself, was standing right in the target zone. Do I believe there is chemistry between Ice Spice and Tobey Maguire? Genuinely, I do not know. Do I believe Ice Spice and her team saw an opportunity to reinsert Ice Spice's name into every gossip column in America for a week? Absolutely. Because that is what desperate looks like when your last 3 singles did not chart and your label is starting to ask uncomfortable questions. Ice Spice is on thin ice, pun fully loaded, pun fully intended, and this Tobey Maguire flirtation, real or manufactured, is one of the few tools Ice Spice has left in the toolbox. Do not let Ice Spice's silence on it fool you either. Sound off below. Do you think this Ice Spice and Tobey Maguire moment is real, or is this a headline manufactured for a fading star? And before I wrap this one up, I have to tell you what I am cooking on the deep dive side, because the next episode over on the members feed is loaded. Drake is at the center of a story that has not hit the mainstream vlogs yet. Taylor Swift and Selena Gomez are quietly navigating a friendship rupture that the tabloids have not caught. Justin and Hailey have another chapter that just leaked from someone who was in the room. And Selena, yes, Selena again, because there are 2 Selena stories in this cycle, and no, I am not going to spoil which one is in the middle of one of the most bizarre entertainment triangles of the year. If you want the full breakdown, the members feed link is right in the description, and everything drops there tonight. But before you click off, let me leave you with the thought that is going to keep the timeline burning tonight. Because there is one connective thread through everything we just covered, and I want to make sure it lands. Cardi B is threatening a diss album because the pen is not moving. GloRilla is bleeding streams because the packaging is not working. Rihanna is being replaced because the pipeline is not delivering. Ice Spice is desperate for a Tobey Maguire photo because Ice Spice's music is not landing. Young Miami is being publicly rebuked because Young Miami's loyalty to Diddy has not aged well. Tasha K is being drained because the courtroom is more profitable to Cardi B than the studio is. And Tyla is being crowned because Tyla is the one artist in this entire conversation who is executing on all cylinders while everybody else is standing on stage begging the algorithm for a lifeline. That is the ecosystem right now. That is the culture right now. That is where 2026 hip-hop and pop are actually living. And if you want the deeper cuts on any one of these stories, the members feed is where I am putting the real receipts. Because here is my final read, and I am going to keep it short. Cardi B is not going to release a diss track in the next 30 days. Cardi B is going to keep teasing it, keep hinting at it, keep dropping spaces monologues about it, and by the time the album drops, whatever was supposed to be a diss will have been rewritten into a soft touch reference, 3 lines deep, buried in track 11. Cardi B does not have the pen to sustain a real diss war, and Cardi B does not have the room to survive a losing one. And the moment Nicki Minaj, Akbar V, or GloRilla actually responds on wax, Cardi B is going to disappear into a 2-week silence and come back with a reel about a new perfume. That is the pattern. That is the playbook. You have seen it a dozen times, and you are about to see it again. As for the Rihanna, Jay-Z, and Tyla triangle, that one is not going away. That one is going to metastasize. Because once Tyla's A-pop drops on July 24th and the first week numbers land in the neighborhood I think they are going to land, the industry is going to start openly asking questions about whether Roc Nation has already stopped protecting Rihanna and started harvesting Tyla. Rihanna needs to release a project. She needs to release it soon. She needs to make a phone call to a new label if this Tyla situation turns out to be as intentional as the timing suggests. Because right now, from where I am sitting, Rihanna's label loyalty is one of the last soft assets Jay-Z has not extracted maximum value from, and Jay-Z is not known for leaving soft assets untouched. Rihanna deserves better management of her own story, and I hope Rihanna wakes up to that conversation before the 3rd Roc Nation signing lands in her inbox as a surprise. And on the Tasha K front, Before I let you go, let me make my prediction crystal clear. Tasha K is not paying the $4 million. Tasha K is not paying the additional $60,000. Tasha K is going to keep talking, keep pivoting, keep leveraging every ounce of bankruptcy law available to her, and the Bronx rapper is going to keep going back to the courthouse to squeeze another judgment out of a well that is already dry. Tasha K knows this game. Tasha K has been in this game. Because the truth about that entire lawsuit is that Cardi B did not sue Tasha K for defamation. Cardi B sued Tasha K to make a public example, to send a chilling message to every small black woman blogger in the country, and to establish that Cardi B's love life is a legally protected zone. The problem is, once Tasha K burns the ground beneath her, there is nothing left to seize, and Cardi B ends up with a stack of paper judgments and a public reputation for suing women who cannot afford lawyers. When the final tally on this feud is written, Tasha K is going to be remembered as a martyr. Tasha K's platform is going to be the case study. And Cardi B is going to be remembered as the celebrity who tried to litigate her way out of a personal life the culture already fully knew about. And that is a legacy problem, not a legal one. Because judgments against Tasha K expire. Bankruptcies for Tasha K get discharged. Court fees get written off. But cultural memory does not. The culture is going to remember, 10 years from now, that Cardi B spent the second half of the 2020s in a courtroom trying to squeeze money out of a black woman blogger, while big-name male media personalities said far worse things about her without consequence. That imbalance is going to age badly. That imbalance is already aging badly. And Cardi B is too locked into the strategy to pivot out of it now. So that is your night. That is your slate. Cardi B is about to embarrass herself. Rihanna is about to lose institutional ground. Tyla is about to launch. GloRilla is about to reset. Ice Spice is about to reinvent. Young Miami is about to be publicly re-examined by an audience that no longer gives Young Miami the benefit of the doubt, and Young Miami's team is not ready for the conversation. Tasha K is about to become a case study. And underneath all of it, Jay-Z is the man quietly moving pieces on the chessboard while everybody else is publicly arguing about pawns. Do not let the volume of the Cardi B story distract you. Do not let the Ice Spice photo op fool you. Do not let the GloRilla stream numbers convince you that any of these individual stories matter more than the structural move Jay-Z made this week. Because in 10 years, when somebody writes the definitive book on late 2020s music industry consolidation, the chapter that gets studied is not going to be the Cardi B versus Nicki Minaj chapter. It is going to be the chapter where Jay-Z quietly assembled the largest concentration of black female global pop talent under one label banner in the history of the modern industry, and did it while everybody was distracted by a Spaces monologue and a courtroom filing. That is the industry we are living in right now, and if you have not subscribed to this channel yet, you are missing the map. Hit subscribe, hit the bell, and drop a comment telling me which of these stories you want me to go deeper on this week, because I have runway on every single one of them, and the deeper cuts are already loading. If you want the full Drake, Taylor, Selena, Justin, Haley chapter, the members feed link is in the description, and that episode drops tonight. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Stay dangerous with your information and stay soft with your loved ones. Same time tomorrow.